Ek sit in die mooiste omgewing, saam met die mooiste vrou, wat kan kook onder andere, Siobhan Dammert. Siobhan, jou reis met kos, your journey, jou kom vandaan.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about that.
It starts off in a classical setup in the kitchen at home with my grandmother to be present, and a 5-year-old starts with her humming and her singing, and she used to bake crunchies and sing, "Mummy told me something a little girl should know." And from then I was mesmerized with this few ingredients of water, flour, and salt, and how she kneaded it with her beautifully nubbled hands and created this perfect loaf of bread, or those rusks and the crunchies and the coconut clusters. So I come from a family of chefs. I want to call them chefs because cooks, we are all cooks. I believe that.
Yes.
So as I live and train now as a trainer, a culinary trainer, is that we all have this ability to create something out of nothing. So my father made the best curries, even though my mother taught him. He surpassed the master. And I lived in this realm where my father was a practical, functional man, and he would tell us how to prepare the Sunday roast with the potatoes and the gem squashes and the cheese sauces. And my mother would let me play in the kitchen with stacks of eggs, making meringue, one failed attempt at the next, until I mastered it. So she had the patience. So between that,
the practical and the
creative,
I
believe that I created my own identity within that scope. And I would think about food 70% of the day, would pack these elaborate lunches for myself. And everybody would look at my lunchbox and say, "Why do you have a whole entire meal in front of you here?" But it was definitely a journey that took me over the seas as well. When I left for Germany at 19, and I started my Ausbildung in Berlin, and that was the rude awakening to the restaurant kitchen. 16-hour days under the wrath of a head chef that wanted 130% and nothing less.
Sure.
So the foundation was set for that mastery in the culinary setting, because I always wanted to push the envelope. I wanted to better myself. And it's competitive, but you're actually just competing against yourself if you think about it in your skill set. And then when I went to Regent Hotel and Fischer's Fritz, I was the only female in the kitchen amongst 18 males.
Wow.
Which was difficult in the beginning to find your feet, especially as a female, because they say, you belong in the pastry. You have nothing to do here in the hot kitchen. And I
Skil die aardappels.
Skil die aardappels, maak die saus, roer die saus. But that was something for me. It was a breaking point where I saw that it's not about female or male. It's about the food, and it's about the service. We are all anonymous to the point that our plates actually tell our story. So when I went through quite a few restaurants. I learned a lot from the South Tyrolean kitchen to the French cuisine, and then fusion. So when I came back to Namibia, I had my second child, and I wanted to spend as much time with them at home, feeding them all of the nutritious meals. And then I decided I was going to go to the market with kombucha and kimchi and sauerkraut and gut cleansing, sourdoughs. And I saw that there was a niche for that.
Exactly.
And slowly but surely, you sell a loaf of bread. That one loaf of bread is then shared with another person, and then from that person they want to have some more bread. And I was able to sustain myself at home as a freelancer. And then I decided I wanted to enter the market again, but on a different perspective, as somebody that could pay it forward with their skill sets. So I went to Wilderness, and I worked for them for 2 years as the food experience manager, traveling from camp to camp, training and implementing menus.
Food experience.
Yeah.
What does that entail? That it's not just chowing down a burger or whatever. It's an experience.
It's creating the setting for all food to actually take place. So whether it be an outdoor food experience, which we call a braai,
Outdoor experience.
outdoor experience, and then also how do people eat? How do they enjoy it? There must be many things that happen: the lighting, the ambience, the smells. So you can create many interactions where you actually see the chef at your table while you are enjoying it. I met Marcy, and we did our first supper club together when she was here with Andrea, and then and I don't think they knew what to expect from me. They just thought, okay, here's a chef that's going to cater for this group of people. And when the table was set and I came out and everybody got a plate, I felt the need to tell them, I got this basil from my mother's garden. I turned it into a sorbet, and this is how the palate will be cleansed and ready for the next umami level. So really taking people on a journey with food and speaking and seeing how they interact with the food that you have prepared, that was a high for me.
Dit klink alles, dit klink soos poetry. Nee, it's really poetry. Jou goed wat jy geleer het, hoe lank was jy oor see?
14 years.
14 years, so that's a long time.
Yeah.
Was dit 'n as jy nou vergelyk met oorseese kos, ek wil dis cuisine en alles, voel jy ons Namibiërs voel, luister, gee net vir my 'n steak, medium rare, met kasers. Ek wil nou nie daai bekende ketting winkel, want ek's mal oor hulle goodie burger. Maar dat dit anders is, dat dink jy ons Namibiërs veral met Jou gaan nou net bietjie meer met jou gesels oor die supper club, maar dat mense ontvanklik is vir hierdie ervaring wat jy gee. Dit gaan nie net oor eet nie, jy druk nie net kos in jou mond nie.
No, not at all. What I think happens, and especially when I came back to Namibia and I had the comparison, because I'm not using gruyere cheese, I'm using cheddar, or
exactly.
But there's so many produce that we don't see in our shops. Like taking a steak, for instance, you're gonna find the best farmer that has the best meat, and then get the best cut of that ribeye or your sirloin. And then I like to integrate some of the produce that are traditional to the Oshibambu.
Yes.
Like I'll take sorghum and I'll make a crumble out of that, or I'll caramelize a few pops of that for the onion relish that goes along with that. Instead of using spinach, I'll use motete and 5-year to give people slow introductions.
Yes.
Slow introductions.
Maar met Namibiese produkte en goed wat hulle ken, nee.
At first you use it as a little bit of a gag on a plate. But then later you'll see that the oshangali, which is the black-eyed pea, that is used as a creamy, buttery sort of side for their meats, is actually so diverse that you could put it into a starter, you could put it into a main, and I mean, I'm sure I could put it into a dessert if I tried. But I'm curious about how Namibian produce must be, and culturally, nurtured and foraged and harvested.
Exactly.
How does it find its way onto a plate where Namibians, I'm talking about the whole, like the Dammeras, the Hereros, the Oshimambu, the Afrikaner. The whole diverse. Yeah. How they would be able to taste that and be like, this actually works. Like, what am I experiencing when I eat this?
Yeah.
So
basies is dit buiten om iemand poetry on a plate. Dit is die woorde waarna ek gedink het. Is dit ook om op te voed, nee? To educate people, dat jy kan met verskillende goed en ons is ook so, soos jy nou gesê het, diverse culture.
Exactly. There's so many projects in the permaculture and the organic scene that want to empower farmers, small farmers, and then take their produce, and we have to process sometimes a little bit, like you have to sift out the stones a little bit better in the mahangu. You have to take the sorghum and really like count those little kernels. But
Die wille spinasie.
exactly,
Yes.
and the sorghum is the grain that they
Oh,
make
okay.
tombo out of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But basically, what you're trying to do is you educating them through the farmers that are actually, trying to bring these things into the market in an organic way and support the local farmers. So if I can have a little bit of a circumference and to say, okay, I'm in Windhoek now, what is around me as far as Okahanya, like Hoogveld, and use that egg and those milk products and that meat, then I'm telling a story about one person's farm. And it makes sense to me to think more on that scope instead of trying to think, okay, what is the general customers, what is trending now, what
Jy
is
fokus meer net op een.
exactly.
Siobhan, ek is nou so begeesterd. Ek gaan iets doen met roereier. Ek skryf en ek. Oh, I'm inspired. Okay. I'm going to leave you and I'm going to leave Siobhan. Joe gaan bietjie met haar gesels oor die kuns en kookklap wat hier by Bellhouse Galerie maandeliks gebeur.
Nou nou my beurt om bietjie by Siobhan te kuier en veral uit te vind meer oor die kook en kunsklub. Amper sê ek nou dis die KK en kom ons gaan met KK en K. Dit is ons kunstefees. So let's go with that one. Wat is die klub? Vertel vir ons van die konsep.
Okay, so we have this space where the artists have free reign to explore and to explain their art in a setting that not only feeds their creative hearts, but their bellies as well. So we're trying to, hit one bird with two stones, and to use that metaphor there.
And serve it.
And serve it. So generally, like Marcy gives me complete creative free reign. So whatever I dream up or think up on a menu, and it happens very intuitively, and it's very easy in the translation when I can see the art and sort of translate it into a menu that will speak, positivity into both artists for this particular event that we're doing at Kolo. A lot of the artwork that Heidi has brought forth has like decay and dark, and there's even the fruits in her pictures. So trying to bring some of that fermentation then into the menu. We're looking at a dish called SCOBY, for instance, that has...
What is SCOBY?
SCOBY, when you use it, it is the symbiotic cultures of bacteria and yeasts. That's what it stands for. Basically, with kombucha, and it is a symbiotic relationship. You feed the kombucha sugared tea, and it feeds you with a probiotic drink that will help nurture and heal your gut. So when we broke down the S and the C and the O and the B and the Y, I added sort of components to that would speak to saffron and yolk and using chili and corn and a little bit of a bream. So I'm bringing fish into the starter, but in a way that is beautifully presented artistically on a plate.
Dis vir my ongelooflik. Ek begin nou dink ek moet nou my gesigsuitdrukking kyk, want ek my mond hang oop. Jy sê dit gebeur intuïtief.
Ja.
Intuïsie. Vir 'n vrou wat huis toe ry en wonder of dit vanaand spaghetti bolognese of vark chops is. Ek verstaan glad nie hoe werk dit nie.
Yeah, I mean, my family at home, having 3 children under the age of 6, their palates are not as, aspired for the kind of food that I would like to eat always at home. So then I also grab the spaghetti and do all of the basics that kids I know will eat, and then try and give all of the raw vegetables and sauerkrauts when my 6-year-old likes that a lot more. But when I say intuitively, and she gives me the brief on what the artists are about, and I came to the opening, and I heard her speak about her art pieces, and that inspired me to just flip the script a little. And so we've got strange headings to the dishes, but what you'd find is that nothing is as it appears. It's a fantasy realm where you can put anything under there. A wolf's cloak. So if I have a wolf's cloak and underneath there's quinoa and kidney beans and
Wow.
maybe a beetroot sort of element, I try to hit all of the senses of umami, sweet, savory, pungent, and then also we eat with the senses on our mouths that are adapted to smooth, crunchy, something that may be a little bit, it irritates you, but you want to eat a little bit further to understand how is this all going to be scooped up onto one spoon, and the moment you put it into your mouth, you're like, okay, that works. So I try and I test these dishes, and according to myself, not always my cousin, who's my soundboard, tells me, that's not going to work today. So then I tweak it and then I make it a little bit more palatable for the general public. So in the intuition happens is I tell myself a story, and then one dish succeeds to the next, and I always start with a little bit of a sour note, and it must end off, go through all of the stages of umami until you get the sweet.
Yes.
But it's so much fun for me to work in the Bauhaus.
Net gou vir die mense wat soos ek wat in Simbasie en red in Suiderhof. Vertel tog vir ons in Suiderhof taal. Wat is umami?
Lekker smekker, like lekker schmecker.
Daar sê lekker smekker. Nou weet ek nie die oor.
All of that stuff that you put into a burger, right? You find umami in meat and then in mushrooms. So it's that sort of, it's just like fatty and it hits your palate and sort of covers your whole entire palate. MSG does the same thing, but you can sort of replicate it with deep mushroom stock broths and all of these shiitake mushrooms. So, I mean, the one that we're using for this particular event is the lamb shoulder, which is a succulent piece that you can...
Bout. Is dat gebraai?
Nee, bout.
Wat? Genade, seker. Die umami van die skouer is seker nie, my skouer is nie lekker nie. Wanneer jy nou hierdie geregte klaar geskep het, dan vat jy dit deur na jou bord toe. The picture on plates concept.
Ja.
Waar kom die inspirasie? Hoe pak jy dit aan?
Okay, so I've never been a fan of a normal continental plate with a little side ring around it.
Yeah.
The classic, I like textures, so I'll use wood, and I like to use marble, or granite, or a stone piece, and sometimes on the board where you can heat the stones or the schieferplatte. What is that? The black.
Yes.
Slate.
Ja, wat is so warm raak. Yes.
Yeah. So one of the dishes is a wreath, if I can explain it so, that we'll be making out of camel thorn and like little, where we can put that little praline, or down here is your cracker and in the middle is your little dip, so that you're interacting with the food as much as you can in your own little universe when you get the food in front of you. And after it has a small explanation, you can dig right in, and then you're discovering your little pieces as you go along. And then when you get your lamb shoulder, the accompaniment is warm stewed fruit. So even the sound of sizzling will already get your stomach churning and the juices churning in anticipation of the dish. So just to play with the senses is the aim of the game here.
Want dit is nou wat ek aan dink nie. Dit is al die sintuie wat jy gebruik en soort van bymekaar bring. Dit is alles behalwe net 'n bord kos.
Exactly. I mean, there's obviously the guidelines that food that is warm needs to be warm. and stay as hot as possible so that each guest has that how you wanted it to taste, and that's how they're experiencing it. So service is so essential, and I'm so happy that I've found a group of people around me that support me in this manner, and they come to the forces in the front line and assist me in putting out 18 plates of food in the way that I wanted to go out. So it's all about a team. You're not a one-man show. So you can never take full credit also for just conceptualizing an idea or a menu. It's all about the team. You cannot function on the premise of alone.
Dis ongelooflik. Jy het nou net gepraat oor die name van die disse. Kan jy vir ons so 'n bietjie van 'n idee gee?
Okay, so we have I'd love to have it in front of me now.
Color wreath.
So we have the color wreath, which is we'll have the starter with I still everything is still happening
Yes.
in the formation.
Ek
So
is
we'll
seker
have
wat jy praat van intuïsie, so
Yeah.
it's a developing, it's a living thing.
It is a living thing. So as I get into the kitchen and I go to the market, and if this greenery from
That
this
brought now the
seasonal
joy.
time, then that is the one that I will use
Yes.
for that. But the main thing is that I like to sometimes give people a little bit of a chili in the beginning.
Ek is
So
chili girl.
exactly,
It's a warm
incorporating
meisie.
that into harissa, so that when you're taking your praline and your crackers and your piece of sourdough, that you already have that base of like, okay, I'm ready for the acidity, which will come in the second course. So to grab this, which is the stogie. So here we do have the acidic notes that would come from the kombucha vinaigrette, and then your charred pieces and the egg yolk would also sort of smooth it out together to really just tie in all of the flavors. And then we have our green fields, which is like tangy, vibrant vegetables, but I want to sort of keep it with a green palette, like some, what do they call that? The artists have that little...
Ja, daar is 'n palet.
A palette.
Dis is inderdaad 'n palet. Die bordjie met die verf.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're going to have the different greens that we have currently in season that sort of replicate that little palette, so that people are picking it out from one side to the next. So their fermentation comes in a little bit because when the vegetables ferment, they change color. And then you have your raw, and then you have heated, and then cold and dried. So I don't want to give too much away.
Nee. Julle moet kom weet. Die konsep van die kunstkookklap of sakkeklap, soos wat dit maar in die volksmond bekend staan, hoe dikwels doen julle dit?
Well, I think now we want to hit it quite regularly, like in the sense that when there's an exhibition happening here at the Bell House, and we want to give the artist full scope to speak about their art pieces. So this is the setup that it would have, and what better way to talk about art than over food?
Nee, natuurlijk.
So that I'm just happy to have found a place where I can actually collaborate with chefs on my own accord, but then very much the evening is about them. We just sort of coming in with the dishes one at a time and then speaking a little bit about it. So it's a very symbiotic relationship between art and food.
Dit klink vir my absoluut heerlik, my mond water. Baie dankie vir ek kan so lank met jou gesels, maar jy wil nog ietsie sê. Yes.
We did a little dinner club, or the dinner set up here called Peel about a month or two ago.
Okay.
And that was incredible. We basically took the whole plant and did it from root to leaf, husk and corn to husk. And the way that people shared the little food display around the table, that was an incredible start. So I think that
It's a kunsuitstalling op sy eie.
exactly. So we want to do more of those throughout this year. So that will be definitely watch this space.
Dit klink absoluut wonderlik om na uit te sien. Baie dankie vir die lekker gesels. Ek gaan nou vir my peanut butter en stroopbroodjie.